Okay, so I obviously love Esther Kim Varet, and I cannot believe I'm talking to her today. I've had a girl crush on her since before I knew she was a real person. Yes, she inspired that character in Girls who had the gallery, but she's also the co-founder of various small fires, which is basically synonymous with the best programming, razor sharp eye, and world domination. She's got galleries in LA, Seoul, Dallas, and what makes her the most rare is this is a gallery that's not only, like, super cool and intellectually rigorous, but it's also, like, nice. It's not cool girly jerkiness. We're talking, like, art world queen, basically, and then she just goes off and decides to run for Congress. So, like, this is a woman who's, like, changing the shape of the art world while also hopefully going to, like, just shape our political future. Esther, I cannot believe I'm talking to you. I'm a bit goosebumpy. We also match, so I feel like
I know.
this
We're
was
like soul
destined.
sisters.
Uh-huh,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
across the internet waves.
Exactly. I'm so pumped to be talking to you. Can we just start with the thing that probably everyone talks to you about first, which is,
Yeah.
wait, is the girl's character really you? Was that really you?
Yeah. And I used to have the exact same haircut and dress almost exactly the same. It's like my whole vibe. Um and I just rewatched it again because I was like, everybody, a lot of people have been asking about it. And I also forgot that Sujin, the character, was 24, which is when I opened my gallery. Um, and so, I mean, now looking back, because it was not yesterday that this happened. Even though we would like to like claim that it is, I mean, that was almost 20 years ago. Now looking back, and I was trying to remember like what the reactions were of people that were watching it too, because I knew that it was based off me, but when it came out, literally like dozens of my friends were like, "Oh my gosh, someone on TV stole your identity." I'm like, "It's okay, I know." Um, and so yeah, it's been fun to I just did another podcast about girls rewatch, and I'm like, God, and they're all Gen Z. And it's just interesting to see how it kind of also is that show is continuing to shape other generations, and inform them in very interesting ways. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm glad that it's coming back around.
Yeah, right. I made the mistake of suggesting to my 11-year-old this summer that we should watch Gossip Girl together. That has not held up well. I can tell you. I was like, "Yeah, no, maybe not. Nope. No, definitely
Yeah,
not."
yeah, interesting. That's so fun.
How on earth did you start a gallery when you're 24 years old?
Okay, so when I was in grad school at Columbia, I had joined a kind of like young like patrons group at the Chelsea Art Museum, which does not exist anymore. So I'm like totally like aging myself right now. And there was a curator there that was like, you know, um, I love hearing you talk about art and blah blah blah. There's an artist who is in his like 80s and doesn't have representation. He used to be represented by Mary Boone and was asked by Art Chicago, the art fair that doesn't exist anymore, to have a free booth. And like he's hoping someone can help him out. And so I was 22, like right after college, like 23. And I took him. It was my first stint, had no idea what I was doing. And I had some expenses that I had to pay for my hotel and my flight and da da da. But I walked away from that weekend netting just for myself $60,000. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I think I might be able to do this. Um, and it's a little bit of that like fake it till you make it kind of attitude that in the art world goes a long way, as you know. And because literally, like, there is no expertise in contemporary art. It is what you say it is or what you insist on it being. And because that history is being formed in real time, I was like, "Oh, okay, I can do this." Like, and I remember in the beginning when I took that money and I asked my dad. I was like, "Dad, I want to do this thing. I want to open a space. I don't know how to do anything." And he was like, "Okay, well, make a business plan," because he's like used to seeing business plans. So I like typed up on Microsoft Word, like literally, it was like four sentences of a business plan. I was like, "Sell artwork," and he's just like, "You are gonna fail." It's like you have no idea what you're doing. And I was like, "Well," and he goes, "But I'm gonna support you anyway, because it seems like you're willing to take risks." And I remember him so specifically because I was like, "Dad, it's so unfair. Like, this industry is, I see other gallery owners and they don't look like me. And I noticed a pattern that they all, if they're young and starting out, a lot of the times they sometimes had parents that were in the industry, like, yes, like other things, other advantages that kind of gave them a step up." And I was like, this is a multi-generational business. Like,
Yeah.
there are secrets that you don't get taught even working at a gallery. I don't know. I mean, it just seems really unfair. And my dad was like, "You speak English. Like, like, why can't you figure it out?" Like, and I was like, "Okay." I
I
guess I
love
could ask
that.
questions. But yeah, so that's kind of how it all started, and it wasn't successful in the beginning. It was literally like a year in. I was also doing I had matriculated into the PhD program at Columbia, so I was also TAing and teaching, and I was like going up and down the 1-9. Um, and but it was literally like that first stint where I was like, okay, now I know what not to do on my round two. And and so yeah, I mean, it all started there.
That's wild. It's also wild that, like, right, making 60K at an art fair, like, that's not a given.
No, it wasn't. And it's interesting because I remember this guy, his name is Joshua Neustein. He's still around as an artist. And he like was there at the art fair with me, like kind of helping me sell the work because I was like, and I literally was like faking it till I made it. I like made a price list. I like did the things that I thought I was supposed to do. Um, because I'd never worked at an art fair before. And he later on, because he was represented by Mary Boone for like 10 years. And he was like, you remind me a lot of Mary. And I was like, that's so interesting. And I was like,
And scary.
and
I don't think
scary, and
I don't
scary.
think you wanna
No, I don't, again, like, but Mary, I mean, looking back at her career, like, she was magic, right? Like, she, like, materialized so many careers and materialized this version of herself. And it's so interesting because, like, literally, like, 15 years later, I was doing business with Mary before she went to jail. And,
crucially.
yeah, like she would call me all the time, and she was like, "You remind me of myself, my younger
Mm.
self." And I was like, "This is so weird," because it was like I remembered that moment when I began, and then as my career had developed, she had come in to try to poach one of my artists and take one of my artists. Um, but I spent a lot of time talking with her on the phone and also screaming and fighting with her on the phone. 'Cause it was, she's just like, she's literally like a byproduct of 80s, 90s New York business era, which is like Donald Trumpism. Like, they're bullies, and they are just
Mm.
crazy bullies in ways that was so revealing. Because I was like, I kept on being, I turn around and I'd be like telling my stuff. I'm like, Mary Boone is like Trump. Like, they have the exact same moves and personality, and it is so interesting, and it, like, actually put Donald Trump into context for me,
Mm.
um, as, like, a
I
byproduct of a certain
re
history.
whether this is true or not, but when I worked in a gallery in New York, the rumor was that she also required all the women who worked for her to put their cycle on a shared calendar so that she knew where they were with their like periods, menstruation, whatever. Don't
Interesting.
don't know if it's true, but that's my Mary Boone fact.
Mm. I mean, whether or not it's true, even the fact that she has rumors like that around her is pretty
Tell you
powerful.
everything.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of like for a woman of that era to like have that kind of reputation and respect and fear. There's something to be said about it. Not, but you know, again, like I wanted to be the antithesis of that. So
Yeah.
it was nice to have those data points though with her.
Tell me this though, and please, like I really hope you say no. Did you actually go on to get a PhD while running the gallery?
I did. So I didn't actually. So
Oh,
I'm technically ABD, which means that I am all but dissertation. So I've written 400 pages of my dissertation,
oh my God, you're
and
so cool.
and I yeah. So the reason why I've moved out to LA from New York was that I was using the LACMA archives, which had just opened up. And my dissertation was all based on this program that happened in the late 60s at LACMA that basically brokered um, 80 of the most important artists of that era with corporations in Southern California. It was called the Art and Technology Program. And so like Richard Serra at 23 was paired by LACMA with the Kaiser Steel Corporation here, and that's where he learned how to move giant pieces of steel, right?
No way.
Yeah, like, John Chamberlain got a residency at the Rand Corporation, like that big think tank, you know, political think tank. But what my dissertation was really all about was like, okay, this is an amazing program where there's so many things that we thought of as like post studio was actually because artists were infused with knowledge and expertise and cash from these privatized industrial like corporations at that time. And so it wasn't like so it was like this kind of dispelling that there were like anti-capitalist like moves to like make abstract big things. It was like actually the most proto-capitalist. And
Huh.
interestingly enough, is that most of these corporations were involved in the military industrial complex of the Vietnam War and had hired a publicity firm called Reuter and Finn to broker all of this for positive publicity for these firms. And all of these artists, like from Warhol to like literally every major artist that we know of, had exposure through this program to like further and develop their artistic practices. Like James Turrell, like collaborated with NASA at that time. And that's how he started making light and space works because he was working with NASA scientists through this program. And so, yeah,
Wh- Okay, I know you have a lot to do right now, specifically, but that needs to be a book, like immediately.
I know. And I like, it's like one of those things because everybody, I know, like for me, it was like, I knew it was like such important work that hadn't been uncovered yet. And I was very passionate about it. But the thing is that like my like ADHD ass, like as procrastination opened VSF because I was like, I don't want to work on this. And then I was like, do this. And then the gallery just like took over because it was timed at the same time with the rise of the LA market and the interest in that. And it was like either you lean into it or like lean out. And at that time, I was pregnant with my second child too. And I was like, because I've always been like a working mom, like pregnant, having babies, carrying babies around, going to art fairs, like, you know, studio visits, doing sales, all that stuff, and trying to write the dissertation. And I was like, something's got to give. Um, and so I spent 12 years at like as a Columbia PhD student. And I, at the end of the day, I had this moment because we were like opening the new gallery in Highland and da, da, and I was like, okay, I can't, I have to stop torturing myself. Like, I'm going to put this book project on pause. It's always going to be there. I can return to it, but I don't think I could I don't want to miss the wave of the art world rising. Um, and so that's the choice that you make as a mom, as a working mom.
I'm like, "How do we get you just into a safe space for, like, 6 months? Just finish it. Just, like," and it's not gonna happen now. We're gonna have to talk about politics in a second.
Yes.
I wanna do, like, a a tiny bit more on, art, and I'll do, like, a bit of like, rapid fire just so that we can get to the politics because
Yeah.
it's pretty fucking epic too. Damn it, I swore, which means we have to put explicit on this, which is always my issue, but it's fine. Um, okay, so the gallery starts taking off. What do you think? Like, well, I think I have 3 questions. How do I do it rapid fire? Okay. What your how did you pick the artists you were gonna work with?
Ah. Well, well, first of all, I started VSF started out of my living room in Venice Beach, right? So in LA. And during my procrastination era with the dissertation. And I realized historically, because I had done most of my studies, I was an undergrad at Yale in art history, and then I did the Columbia thing. And so I understood the major narratives that were happening that were being pushed out of these um, scholarship centers, and there was a distinct disdain for West Coast art, and the kind of from that perspective of like putting it on a shelf, putting it on a tier that wasn't as developed conceptually as East Coast art was. And so when I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and Various Small Fires is named after Ed Ruscha's book that was self-published in Venice in 1964. Kind of an homage to, again, I'm like, it's like everything had to be like historically referenced because I'm like just I'm a dork. I'm like,
Or
yeah, and and so I started working with LA artists. That's how I started, because I was like, if I'm going to open a gallery here and run something here, I was like, it is my responsibility to be a storyteller of the place that I am in, and to then do my job as a historian, a curator, an advocate, to push out to the forefront the ideas that represent this place. And so a lot of the artists that I started taking in and representing early were foundational to the LA art scene, and like Billy Al Bangston, and who was kind of like the ringleader of all of these guys. And that's also why when I opened my gallery in Seoul, I opened it with a two-person show of Ed Ruscha and Billy Al Bangston. Like they made brand new work for me. They like never do that. And because they were like, they recognized the work that I was trying to do for Los Angeles. And that then kind of kept on expanding, but again, it was a part of, and when I had moved to LA, it felt like a village mentality in the sense that, like, LA galleries were always struggling um, to be seen and not just be seen as secondary to the conversation in New York. Um, and I noticed, and I took bets because I said, "Listen, we are more and more like riding on this wave and conversation around postmodernity, which means multiple narratives. That means narratives around the indigenous experience of Native Americans, to the immigrant experience, to the experience of women um, that had been overlooked by history, the experience of environmentalists, because the environmental art movement happened. 1970, the Earth Day movement happened. 20 million people marched on the street, right? Like, you know how many people marched on the street for the Women's March? 2 million. Okay.
yeah.
So this was huge. That's how the EPA was founded. Like the government shape shifted. And like, yet the art world didn't acknowledge that this even impacted artists, even though artists were at the forefront of these movements. Right. So I was like,
Mm.
okay, if I am a byproduct of this new era, I was like, I believe Los Angeles has been the embodiment of a postmodern narrative for a very long time.
So hold on. You basically built a gallery program, which is a whole other PhD.
I mean, everything has to be done with meaning. Otherwise you run out of steam, right? Like you can't do the impossible, which is create something out of nothing, create a brand and an identity and a vibe out of nothing. It has to be driven by a higher calling of of where I'm going, what we're doing, what's the point of us doing any of this? And so,
Mm.
yeah, the VSF has always been the embodiment of that for me. And it's just been like my expression of all these lanes that I feel like needed to continue to be pushed into the art discourse because it not only was it meaningful to me as a millennial, but I knew it was going to be meaningful to the other generations that came after me.
Mm, that's awesome. I mean, unbelievably awesome. And I just, I, there's so much that resonates in terms of like my own personal story, right? I went to Seattle. I grew up basically pivoting between London and New York because my parents were in those two cities. Everyone thought I was really cultured. I wasn't. I was just this weird, not American enough, not British enough kid. Um, and then I went to grad school in Seattle, and I got there and was like, "There's great art here. No one's paying attention to it. I
Yeah.
don't understand. Like, what? There's a whole, Gary Hill was making the most avant-garde video pieces. It was wild, and I got there and I was like, "This is why is this an other? Why are there are only art narratives? New
Yes.
York, London, Paris, Berlin.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense."
Yeah. And you
Um,
realize things or people are constantly othered because the centers of power want to retain and hold on to power. So your responsibility is to constantly hack away at that and to expand that. And so, yeah, that's exactly what I feel like VSF in all of the different expansions and iterations that we've done has always been about that.
okay, so the gallery is operating at the tippy top of its game, and then all of a sudden, you're like, "Hold on one second here. I think that I need to run for
Yeah.
Congress."
So,
When, how, and where?
yeah.
What on earth has gotten into you?
Okay.
Who do you think you are?
Okay. I keep on saying I'm not anybody special. I am just literally a citizen with a plan at a time that we desperately need one, right? Like I after the election, again, I had no concept of like that I would be doing this in 2025. So at the end of 2024, I was like knocking on doors for Kamala because, and I don't know if I would have even gone if a friend of mine hadn't organized it and made it so easy, right? Like organizing a trip to knock on doors for 4 days is kind of daunting when you have like your regular life going on and you're like, it's really important, but like to do that. So I went on this trip that my friend Mo Pritzker like organized for a group of ladies. Also helped that she had a private jet to take us there, just as a side note.
Okay.
Um, I will be totally honest, like how I arrived there. Um, and I went knocking on doors and I was like,
Where?
in
Where did
Michigan,
you go knocking
in
on door?
Detroit.
Okay,
Okay, because it was like
okay.
that was like one of those, and Mo
Swing
is
states,
from yeah,
battlegrounds.
is from there. And so and I came home and I was like and my husband are very passionate about politics, but only to the sense of like we'd support different candidates, like if they asked us for money or whatever it was. It wasn't like super extreme like what I'm doing right now. Um, but what I realized is that all of my assumptions about who we were as a country living in the bubble that I was living in were wrong. Like, I was talking to Black women that were voting for Trump because of the pro-life issue for them, and I was talking to, um, Lebanese Muslim girls in their 30s who were voting for Trump because they were convinced that Biden was enabled Israel to attack Lebanon. And then I'd be talking to like Orthodox Jews that were voting for Trump, and I'm like, wait, the people on two different sides of a war like are both voting for the same president for different reasons, and it's like it was just wild. And I came back and I was like, okay, we're gonna lose so badly, and we did. And then when we lost, we all have that like that ugh, like sick to our stomach feeling, living under the Trump era and being like, God, it's like this is so intense and so much. And I was like, I remember this feeling, and we felt like this for 4 years. I like can't feel like this anymore. And I realized, my husband was like, you know, God, we lost by such a slim margin the House. Like the only thing we should be focused on is winning back the House. We lost the House by 3 seats out of 400 and something seats across the country. The Republicans have such three people, around 432 seats, and we're only down by three. Okay. And I'm like, and this is what these 3 seats are what is destroying our democracy right now, because Congress is the place that's supposed to put checks and balances in on an administration, and they're not doing it. And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's an easy solution." Like in 2 years when it's the midterms, if we can if there's a Democratic wave, we'll be able to put some brakes on this Trump administration and bring some sanity back sooner before he starts running for his third presidency. Like before he starts doing all this crazy stuff. Well, he's already started doing it. And I was like, "Oh, I'll go flip a seat. Like, how hard can it be?" And I like literally Googled how to run for Congress because I was like, yeah, like, because I'm so solutions oriented. Like, I'm like, I'd rather like just do things than despair. And I was like, oh, well, there's an answer. And I found this woman who is in my own Korean American community. She's like MAGA, blah, blah, blah. And her seat is Biden won it in 2020 by 2 points, and Trump only won it by 2 points in this cycle. She won this seat. She continues to win this seat because she raises so much money. And all the challengers, Democratic challengers, like she raised $8 million in the last cycle, and that her Democratic challenger raised 800,000. Right. So like she just like buries him. And I was like, oh, okay. Like the numbers are there to win. But if I can figure out a way to like competitively raise with my art network, with like the Rolodex that I've built. Like, I'm like, we can use this for good and compete. And so I started raising money and doing this thing with the art world. And now I'm the number one targeted Democrat in the country, by the Republicans. So like the Republicans have written 15 articles attacking me in the last month alone because they know, yeah. It's like they know that and they in their own fundraising tell people that this is the most vulnerable seat in the country now to lose because we're doing it. We are making
They're
them
terrified.
nervous. Like we are pouring salt on a wound, and we are literally, and this is right now why Trump is like freaking out and trying to get more seats in Texas, and this is why the battle is happening because they know that they're going to lose. And I'm like, okay, like it's hard work, but it's better than despairing for sure.
And I mean, I read somewhere that, like, your endorsements are insane as well. Like, it's not just the money that you're out there getting, you've got some, like,
Yeah. Well,
super
yeah,
people.
I mean, the endorsements are great. It's also, I keep on saying, fighters recognize fighters, right? So, um, like, I am like Jasmine Crockett has endorsed me, and who everybody, she's like a firebrand, and I'm supposed to be fundraising with JB Pritzker in Chicago. Like there are people that are like, oh, we need a fighter. We need more fighters in Congress that are also able to talk about their life experiences and their values that are also under attack. Like, I'm an environmentalist, I am pro-choice, like, I am pro-artist, I am pro-free speech, all those things that, like, we represent in our world that are under threat, like, under existential threat. Like, our identity is under threat, and our values are under threat, and I can speak to those values in a real way. It isn't just a talking point for me where I'm, like, a Democrat, so I'm supposed to be these things. Like, I'm like, "No, these are my values that I've lived out and built, like, a business out
A
of,"
world.
and yeah, and I've been pushing for a long time as values that are important values for a community. And now, as we are continuously headed towards a direction where our voice in these different pockets of interests, that ensure free speech, that ensure clean air and water for our kids, that ensure um, fair wages, um, ensure a middle class, all of those things, those voices are being eroded and being suppressed right now. And we need people to stand up and like, and continue to be advocates for those voices that are now in real time being stifled.
Can I ask, so I love all of that, and one of the things that upsets me greatly about politics at the moment, and so many of us, is just how polarized it is,
Yeah.
right? And what I can see you being great at is, like, working both sides of the
Yeah.
aisle,
Yeah.
right? Like, not going so crazy one way or so crazy the other way. But can I ask you, like, 2, well, 1, I'll ask 1 first, and I'll go with the second one. Uh, like, what are you gonna do? You could get elected, and what are you gonna
Yeah.
do? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a whole new
I
job.
know. I know. And I think um this if I do get elected, and which is again, my whole point is to flip seats so that we can win back the house, right? Like, that's my number one thing, and I keep on saying, listen, I moved my life, I did all this stuff because I just decided I'm going to go where the fight is. And this is where the fight is right now. The fight's in Orange County. And if I get elected, the fight is in Congress, right? Like, because it's going to be that's we just have to head where the fight is. And it's similar, it's a very similar juncture to maybe where I was with the PSG and the gallery, right? Like, you kind of lean into the moment and into the fight at that time of, like, what feels like the best um investment for not only your future but for the future for the people and the things that you care about, right? And
Mm.
right now we are, and I will just say, like, I am the daughter of North Korean refugees, so that kind of sheds some light onto why I feel so much urgency around fighting authoritarianism. And we are at that phase where so many electeds already believe that we've already had our last free and fair election. So, I would say the majority of people feel that way in Congress, in that are like in the eye of the storm, because this guy is a cheat. We know that he will do everything in his power to hold on to his power, and we know from his life patterns he has no redeeming quality about playing fair. Um, and he is, again, a schoolyard bully. He will do whatever it takes to stay that schoolyard bully.
Mm.
And if we don't fight now in this window, it is a very everything is going to be an uphill battle. We'll see it even if I flip this seat. When I flip this seat, they're going to call nationally a stop the steal and bring in federal troops. We are preparing for lawsuits. We are preparing for all sorts of things, um, because that's the era that we're living in. And I made a decision that I could not look at my kids in 5 years or 10 years from now and say I did nothing. When
Mm.
we were the adults in the room, When we tell them at school to be change makers, yet we don't do that to model it in real time for them.
Mm.
Like
Uh,
that, the thought of that, of me telling them I could have done something, but I didn't, is crushing. And it's better to do the hard work than to face that kind of reality later on for me.
I, and here's the thing, right? Like, if I've learned anything 20 years in this business, is that like the art world works harder than most, right? Like everyone thinks it's this like glamorous openings and money and private jets. But actually, like, I bet you've painted walls. I bet
Yeah.
you've built walls. I bet you've shipped stuff. I bet you've been up all night trying to install a show.
Yeah.
I like, and a
I
friend
know
of
how to
mine, we were talking about
shadow
this.
box paintings. Like I teach people regularly how to
Oh,
choose the right spackle.
yeah,
um,
right.
yeah,
Right, and
sure.
so for me, sat here 3,000 miles away, I'm like, "This is absolutely the person who's going to do the work, who's gonna, like, put in the hours because you are, like, you're battle worn. Like, you know what it takes to do the impossible because the art world is not easy." And so, I facetiously was like, "What are you gonna do if you get this job?" But I have no doubt that you will absolutely kill it. And so that is super inspiring from, we lament that politics doesn't attract the right people because it doesn't pay well. And you get slandered and you get articles written about you and your life becomes a fishbowl. And to see you out there being like, I don't care. I just don't care. I'm just going to do this is like, it's awesome. There aren't words.
As a
It's just so great.
mom, you have, for me, I have two kids. I have an audience of two in my life. They're the ones that are going to be with me on my deathbed. And you do things, as a mom, you do incredible, irrational things for your kids. And I know that fighting for the kinds of values that I'm fighting for right now is 100% for
Mm.
them. Like there's no doubt about it. I mean, like I'm Korean, right? Like, and I'm the daughter of immigrants. Like I was not supposed to. Like my parents came with $400. They started a shiitake mushroom farm in Texas. They went bankrupt by the time I was in kindergarten. They started all over again as janitors because they couldn't speak English and couldn't find jobs. Like I'm not supposed to be here
Yes, you
doing
are.
this, but I
Yes,
have
you
to do it. I have a responsibility
are.
to do it. I have now I am in a place where I'm not scared, where most people are, and I have to speak up for the people that are scared.
Dude, on that note, you've got a big giant day ahead of you. I'm not gonna take any more of your time. You are, like, the best light of hope of everything. You have been in the art world for so long for me as a shining beacon of everything that's right in that world, and I think that you're about to go be a shining beacon in the real world, and, like, just thank you. If, like, there's anything that we can do at Scene, we are here for you. We've got your back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for making the time and reaching out. I this is our community we're fighting for. And so this is we're having the right conversations together.